Which characters in non-Predator films could beat the Predator in a hunt? Who has the best chance? What happens if you take these characters and throw them on a game preserve planet right now to have them fight a Predator solo? I found 5 characters that might come out on top. In fact, not might, they could and would come out on top. Now, I'm not going to mention any OP characters. I'm not talking about Deadpool and Wolverine, people who can't die. I'm not talking about Spider-Man and Darth Vader, people with too many powers, alright? I'm talking about more normal, grounded characters. I'm talking about guys like this. Some of the guys I'm choosing have more abilities than others, don't get me wrong. Some are superhuman in some regards, but I'm not talking about guys with full-on powers like Spider-Man, Superman, that type of shit. Here are the rules of the game. The characters, one-on-one, thrown on a game-preserved planet, like we saw in Predator 2010, to fight a Predator. I'm not saying they have to fight guys like the upgrade Predator. Alright, that's overkill. I even question, should I put like guys like Berserker and Wolf, really elite Predators who are just superior in all regards? There are just too many nuances to the equation, right? I could make a separate video for each of these characters versus each of these specific Predators, but I'm gonna just pick an average one. I thought maybe Jungle Predator, but then people are gonna be like, okay, but this guy lost to Dutch. If he lost to Dutch, what could this character do? There's context. There's different context to each situation. So I'm gonna say an average classic Predator, like the New York City Predator in Predator 2, like the Jungle Predator, with 2010 to 2018 tech. Plasma cannon, wrist blades, they get that bomb that goes off when they die, invisibility cloak, their normal biomask, a spear, and their shurikens. That's a pretty good arsenal of weapons. That's typically what they have. In fact, some of them don't even have the shurikens or the spear. Some of them just have the wrist blade and the plasma cannon, right? They get all of that. The characters that are put in this game preserve planet, they have all the traditional weapons that their characters would carry normally. Honorable mentions. Here we go. Ash Williams from Evil Dead. Give him a chainsaw and a shotgun, and his pure determination and schizo grip, this guy's fought hordes of demons. Of course the Predator's gonna want a piece of him. Now, I think he'd ultimately lose. But still, I had to mention Ash, okay? Jason Bourne. Jason Bourne, I feel like could survive almost any situation because he has to do so without a support staff. His government's against him half the time. He's found his way out of situations. He can adapt, improvise very well. Unlike Bond can adapt and improvise very well on his own too. But I feel like Bond has way more privilege than Bourne, okay? He hasn't had to survive the wrath of his government as much. He's very reliant on a support staff too at times. And I think also just in a fight against a Yaoja, he'd be cooked. Compared to Bourne, who's a bit more versatile. Agent 47, you're genetically engineered to be like the full-on super soldier. I'm always going to give a super soldier, a super assassin, a chance to beat the Yaoja. Black Widow, she's fought aliens, she's fought superhumans before. She has experience in this regard, she could survive anything. Now, granted, when I have seen her fight superhumans, she usually ends up losing and gets overwhelmed because obviously they're physically superior. So I think ultimately, and this has happened to her twice. It happened to her in Winter Soldier. She almost died. She got saved. Again in Civil War against Winter Soldier. I think a Yaoja would probably throw her onto a tree and break all of her ribs and then kill her at some point. I think she'd be able to evade the Yaoja, use her tasers and shit against him, and she'd be able to do shit to him. But ultimately she'd lose. Reizo from Ninja Assassin. If he has the flash step ability, I'm pretty sure he fucking kills a Predator. And I saw this guy beat a Yaoja in a sword fight, and it was a Berserker. Now granted, I'm not specifically using Falconer against all these guys I'm mentioning, but if I saw Yaoja be killed this way, I think the Ninja Assassin could do it, okay? Rambo! See, there are many guys like Rambo on this list. They need a little bit of time. Fighting a Yaoja head-on with a gun is not going to work. You need time to plan and set traps the way Dutch did. If they can maneuver themselves to run and fall down a waterfall, and put some space and time between them and the Yaoja to create booby traps, I think Rambo could win. Same thing with Frank Castle. Obviously, head-to-head, one-on-one, they're not beating the Yaoja, especially if they try to go hand-to-hand or do a melee fight with him. You're losing. You're getting cut in half. What they need is some time to prep and plan. And I think the Yaoja could give them time. The Yaoja's not just gonna kill them instantly. He's gonna see and observe how they react, you know? He's gonna test them a little bit. And I think if you give Frank Castle, guys like Frank Castle and Rambo, time to be tested, they'll find a way to beat you. Hawkeye. Anyone with Hawkeye's eyesight and bow shooting abilities, I give you 100% chance to kill the Predator. If he just sees the Yaoja's invisibility cloak move a little bit in his periphery, grenade arrow, grenade arrow, grenade arrow, Yaoja's cooked. I think Hawkeye could beat it. John Wick. John Wick is one of the first names that people mention when talking about guys who could beat the Yaoja, because John Wick's just so OP. He's been thrown into so many situations where he has to fight insurmountable odds and he gets out on top. He's a survivor, and he's the best killer in that universe. Here's the thing: we kind of underestimate as John Wick fans how many times he's saved in his own movies by allies. He has no one in the forest in the game Preserve Planet. It's just him. I think solo, when he has nobody helping him, I truly think the Yaoja would kill John Wick. And maybe he'd kill an average Yaoja. Guys like Wolf would annihilate John Wick, in my opinion. I've seen so many times John Wick is spared by people who beat him in a fight. I saw it in John Wick 3. Those two Asian assassins who were his biggest fans, they almost had him dead to rights. The blind assassin almost had him dead to rights many times in John Wick 4. I've just seen him lose and be saved. In the first John Wick movie, he's saved by Willem Dafoe 7 times, almost. I think John Wick has really been helped more than we think. I think John Wick would be kind of low-key cooked by a Predator. You could say if Jason Bourne could beat him, then why not John Wick? But I don't know, man. I feel like this would be a really hard fight for John Wick.
It is important to note that the predators usually play around and toy with their prey before killing them. So if other assassins toy with John Wick and let him off the hook, and the Yaoja does the same, John Wick has a very good chance of beating them.
Bucky, Winter Soldier, you're a super soldier. I'm giving you a chance to beat a Yaoja. You're not as strong as a Yaoja, like physically. Obviously, they're fucking giant, massive juggernauts. But his skill, his speed, his ability, shoot people with a sniper rifle and all that shit, I think they would come in handy against a Yaoja. And he won't get tired when running away from a Yaoja either. I think he could actually outlast a Yaoja and then eventually beat him. Denzel Washington from Equalizer. Robert McCall, I think that's his name. He's good with any weapon. He'll zoom out and see all the weapons and all the surroundings and find a way to beat you. I would trust Robert McCall to find a way to beat the Predator. Donnie Yen from Triple X 2. A lot of you are going to be wondering, why the fuck did I pick this movie, this role of his of all? I don't think Ip Man is beating the Yaoja. This dude, however, is the one guy I can trust that the Yaoja can't catch. He's too fast. He doesn't get tired. The Yaoja would be like, what the fuck? I can't even grab onto this dude, man. What the fuck? I truly think this dude would be too fat. The Yaoja would be like, what is this dude? This dude is like a monkey running around swinging and shit. This is the only dude I think that could outspeed the Yaoja. Mandalorian, obviously. Hannah, bred to be a killer who can survive anything from birth. Obviously, it's like you're tailor-made to survive a Yaoja. I don't know if you'd beat it, but you'd survive it for sure. Hobbs, I'm really sorry, guys. Hobbs is superhuman. I shouldn't even mention him or Dominic Toretto since they're technically gods. Snake Eyes, obviously any ninja with this kind of ability, I give them a huge chance to beat the Yaoja. This dude has agility powers like a superhuman. He's stealthy. He's got everything you need to beat the Yaoja. Dexter Morgan on pure plot armor could beat the Yaoja. And then Green Arrow is tailor-made to beat a Yaoja. This dude has survived on an island. Granted, he had help, but still. He survived on an island for many years. His bow and arrow abilities are second to none. He's good with all kinds of weapons, but if he gets a shot off on the Yaoja, I think he could lay into that thing with like 7 different arrows. I saw the Pharaoh Predator get cooked by Naru's brother with the same tactic. You think Oliver Queen's not going to be able to do this to a Yaoja? Of course he fucking is. Now, these are the ones that I think could win, but now I'm going to go to the guys that I think would win, my top 5, okay? I think these guys would cook a Yaoja. Number 5. Batman. Now we need to figure out which Batman. I don't think Nolan's Batman's doing shit. I don't think Robert Pattinson's Batman's doing shit. You need someone who's already strong, skilled, peak human in their abilities, and has upgraded weaponry. Ben Affleck's Batman stands a good chance. He's very strong in his own right. He has all these weapons that could help him. His combat abilities are like the best we've seen from a Batman, right? I think he would do extremely well. But ultimately, I don't think he's the ideal Batman I would choose. You know who I would choose? I'd choose Michael Keaton's Batman all day. Don't leave. You know why? Because Michael Keaton's Batman in The Flash might be the most overpowered Batman I've ever seen. This dude was taking on Kryptonians without a mech-armored suit. He was jumping on top of Kryptonians, planting bombs on their back and leaping off of them. I think he's gonna cook a Yaoja, guys. I don't think it's a stretch to say he'd cook a Yaoja. Number 4. Boba Fett. Look, as Boba Fett, you are an assassin that has you have many of the tricks that Yaoja do. You have borderline impenetrable armor. You have heat vision and all this stuff. You have energy-based weapons that even the Yaoja have. You pretty much match the Yaoja in a lot of different ways. Plus, there's one thing Boba Fett has. he can fight dirty. He does fight dirty. He's not afraid to do that. We've seen a lot of bad bloods that aren't afraid to fight dirty. Neither the Boba Fett would be the perfect matchup for them. I truly think Boba Fett's like with his rockets too and his missiles, I think he's like the perfect dude to fight a predator. You throw him with all of his armor and his weapons in a forest, that would be the dumbest thing you could do as a Yaoja to do that, but if you want the ultimate challenge, that's it. Throw Boba Fett in a forest with all of his weapons, all of them. He's cooking a Yaoja. Number 3, Deathstroke. Now again, which one? We have not seen anything from Snyder's Deathstroke. And I'm talking about cinema Deathstroke. There's a lot of animated Deathstroke, so it would beat him too, but still. Cinema, live action. Let's keep it cinema, live action. Snyder's Deathstroke, we know he's probably good enough to match Ben Affleck's Batman and probably beat him in a fight, right? So I think ultimately he would also do well. But I'm going to go to the Deathstroke that I know the most in terms of their ability, and that's Slade Wilson from Arrow. What a terrible fucking paintball mask they put on him, man. What a disgrace the CW was for Slade Wilson. Slade Wilson is superhuman, so it's kind of cheap that I'm putting him on this list. But again, I'm not putting guys like Spider-Man and Darth Vader, okay? He's superhuman. He can heal, but it's not overwhelming. I think the Predator and him can match each other strength for strength. At his most tactical, season 2, when he's not getting angry, emotional, and rage baited by Oliver. Oh, Shadow. I'm talking about his most tactical. I think he'd cook a Yaoja, bro. The superhuman aspects are only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this dude. He survived on an island. He knows how to survive an island. I think he'd do well on a game preserved planet. Okay, he knows how to track different things. He knows when he's being hunted. He trained Oliver Queen for 2 years on Lian Yu to be the fighter he is. I think that skill plus his superhuman physiology, I think he'd cook a Yaoja very easily. Number 2, Van Helsing. Yes, sir. Y'all probably surprised I mentioned this dude, but it's true. This dude fights the likes of Dracula, werewolves. This dude's fighting guys like Frankenstein. I think he'd beat a Yaoja. Now, his multiple weapons at his disposal, crossbows, shurikens, okay? Not only is he an experienced hunter, he has angel physiology. I know, I said I wasn't going to mention OP characters. He's not. He doesn't have powers necessarily, but I believe the fact that he has angel physiology makes him a peak human. And with the combination between that, his weapons, and his experience, I think he could get a Yaoja out of there, personally. He does have a lot of help in the Van Helsing movie. I just think I trust Van Helsing to survive a Yaoja and eventually beat him. I trust him, okay? Number 1. You already know. Richard B. Riddick. I've never seen a character more tailor-made for a Yaoja in my life. In my life, he's a survivor. He's the definition of a survivor. I don't think this is the best killer on this list that I've mentioned, or the best killer I've mentioned in the video as a whole. But he's the best survivor. He survives anything. He's been thrown on different planets with nothing! Up against different aliens and mercs. Look at the amount of aliens this dude has had to fight. Bioraptors, these weird things from the animated Riddick movie, the mud demons from Riddick 2013, plus the amount of mercs. He's fought necromongers, the Lord Marshal, who has this OP teleportation soul method of fighting, and he still beat him. Like, bro, you're way too experienced to lose to a Yaoja. Plus, in the dark, it's his game. Yes, the Yaoja has the invisibility, but I genuinely believe Riddick, in the forest, putting mud on himself, he'd figure it out. He'd figure out a way to beat him. Not only that, I don't want to mention powers here, but he does have one thing in his back pocket. You know how the Yaoja has that wrist bomb if he dies? You know Riddick has a pain threshold blast that he literally has? His body emits a blast that, like, makes everyone just, like, go unconscious. It happened in Riddick, in Chronicles of Riddick, when the necromongers were fighting everyone, and Riddick got shot and nearly killed, and his body emitted a blast. I don't even know how. And it fucked everyone up. Like, that's like Riddick's backup. Like, you're literally the ultimate dude to beat a Yaoja. They need to make a... Bro, one of the biggest single regrets I've had when it comes to cinema, not seeing the things I want to see. Like, I've always said, oh, I would love to see Marvel versus DC, you know, Justice League versus Avengers movie. Riddick versus the Predator is, like, up there for me. It just is. I would love... I'd pay large portions of money to see that fight go down. Someone needs to do with AI, but I think Vin Diesel needs to. Vin Diesel's too old now, man. That's the issue. It should have fucking happened 10 years ago, but still, it's all good. Bro. It's these universes could exist in the same world, in my opinion, too. It's perfect. Riddick would cook a Yaoja, worse than anyone else. those are my thoughts on that. I probably missed a lot of good characters. Let me know who you think could also beat the Yaoja in a hunt.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a mission to take over Hollywood. But the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals, join the Zafy Discord now. Link is in the description and the comment section as well. Join us. This movement is just beginning. We're taking over Hollywood, one coke line at a time.